Hey guys, welcome to Light Muse. We're your hosts, Flannery Underwood
and Jessica Cabesi.
And today we're talking with our friend, Brandon Woelfel, who's a popular photographer and YouTuber. Brandon, thanks so
Hi.
much for coming on.
I'm so excited to talk through stuff.
Yeah.
Who knows what will come up?
I know.
Your girl's struggling over here. Haven't done a photo shoot. But I've been making YouTube videos though, which I
You've
feel
been
like
grinding out the YouTube videos, yeah.
that's been going pretty well. Have you? But you haven't really been. You uploaded one video during this. You uploaded the reaction video, which I really loved.
Yeah, thank you. I actually uploaded more like within the past few weeks than like I ever have. It's like even like
Oh,
once
nice.
every like 2 weeks, but still like I feel like that's a lot for me. Um, yeah, the reacting video was fun.
I like seeing you do different stuff like that.
Yeah.
I want to
need
see
get
you
more
more
time.
do more. I love watching reaction videos. I don't know about you guys, but they're my favorite things to watch, especially you,
Yeah.
Brandon. Like, I'm so interested. Like, what does Brandon think about certain things? It would be fun to see you react to
Like,
something
what's his opinion?
totally different.
Brandon, did you watch
Seriously, yeah.
Jess's Big Ed
I definitely
review?
did. I watched them both.
What did you
You
think?
watch both of them.
He's super skilled. No, just kidding. Yeah, it was definitely not our vibe. Um, little uncomfortable there.
So do you watch
Um,
90 Day Fiancé? Is that
I
like a show in your repertoire?
I actually don't, but I was telling Jess that like I know of him just from
Yeah.
I feel
like
like everyone
All
Twitter.
the
knows him.
memes.
Yeah, I sent Jess the Mucinex guy, and I was like, oh my God, the
Yes.
resemblance is kind of I can see it.
Uncanny. You are so right.
I know. I need to start watching it though. All my friends watch it.
A lot of people in the comments were like, "Oh, I didn't even know he was a photographer," and it was crazy because that was in the intro for the clip, like for his intro clip on TLC. And so when I watched it, I was like, "Oh my God, what camera is he using? What's the light setup? You know, everyone else is probably like just watching it normally, and I'm just like, okay, writing down like, okay, he's using this strobe here to the place to the left because psychopath.
Teach us, you actually watch the whole TLC episodes when it's like,
Oh, yeah.
my version of watching like 90 Day Fiancé is like, I'll watch the YouTube clips. So I see all like the highlights of it and then
Oh,
I'll
that's a
watch
good
them
idea.
totally out of order. So I know so much about all the random funny moments from all of these characters, but like the full storyline I like don't know. Yeah,
How many
for sure.
different couples are there?
There's Erica and Stephanie. There's David and Lana, but Lana has yet to even exist. Like, we haven't seen her. So they made this joke where it's like David and his MacBook Air because he chats with her online. So I don't know. That's a complicated couple. And then there's what's her name? I forgot. Oh my God, I don't even Yolanda. And then she talked to this guy she thought was British, but he didn't have a British accent on the phone. But his name is
Yes.
Williams or something.
Yes. Okay, I've seen that clip.
It's like he doesn't
Yeah.
exist. I mean, I feel bad because a lot of people just really want to find love, but some of them are like clearly getting scammed. You know what I mean?
And they don't even
Yeah.
realize.
Like David. Okay, if you haven't heard of David, so David, he talked to this Ukrainian woman for like 7 years on this website. Doesn't have her phone number, doesn't like talk to her like on the phone. He's just chatted with her for 7 years. He has to pay to chat with her on this website.
Yeah.
And so he went to Ukraine three times to try to meet her. She had an excuse as to why she couldn't show up each time. And then this time when he went to Ukraine, she didn't show up again. And he literally went to the address that she gave him. And then it ended up being like some old man. He's like, no, I've never heard of this person before. He went and like showed her a picture to like people in her town, apparently like her town, and no one recognized her. And then when he got back to the United States, he hired a private investigator. And then the private investigator was like, oh, it's a scam basically. And he's like, no, I don't believe it. I need to hear from her.
No.
You're like, she doesn't exist.
Sweetie, David, let it go. There's nice women in America that like exists.
It sounds like an advanced version of like Catfish.
Oh, for sure. For
Catfish on
Totally.
steroids.
Okay,
Yeah.
wait. Speaking of catfishing, have you, Brandon, ever been catfished by a model before where you
Oh my
see her
God.
Instagram and you're like, oh my God, or him or whoever you're shooting with, you're like, they look amazing. And then in person, they're not what their Instagram looks like.
Fortunately, no. I feel like a lot of the times when I like am shooting with someone, like they're either like a mutual friend that I know, or like I like connect, like my friend has shot them, so it's like never like totally random. I always feel like I know them somehow. But that's a real thing, I guess we don't think about, because that I'm sure that happens. Like that's crazy. What about you guys?
Yes, for sure.
And I've learned, and the thing is, I still work with them. It's fine. It's just in the day and age where we all know Facetune exists. We all know there's like retouching and all that stuff. Obviously, we do it. But sometimes you look at a model's Instagram pictures and then she shows up and she does look different. And it might not be in a bad way. Like, I'll still work with her. I'm not going to be like, no, you don't look like you do in your pictures, sweetie. So, you know,
Time to go.
time to go.
The door is right there.
There's 2 doors. You can choose which one you want to leave from. But yeah, I've been catfished. What about you, Flan?
Yeah, I've been catfished, but nothing too crazy. I usually ask for photos, just like take a selfie, like an unedited selfie beforehand, especially with like bigger clients who there's this one time where I was trying to book this girl and the client specifically wanted someone with pink hair. And so that's like hard enough to find someone with like naturally dyed pink hair. And then I found someone, and then she didn't have pink hair actually at the end of the day. And it was just like one of those things where it's like the day before the shoot, they're like, yeah, like, oh, is it okay if I come with like blue hair? I'm like, we booked you for your pink hair. No, like, no, you cannot do that. But, you know, at the end of the day, like, I've had some people come where I'm like, yeah, it's like a little different. But like, again, like I would never say no to working with them. Like, you know, it's a lot of the images too in people's books, like maybe they've been done through like high-end retouching, so they have like a lot of like the blemishes taken out. And like I think also for like skincare stuff too, the girls that I shoot, like you don't realize, but a lot of high-end beauty campaigns, they do a lot of very intense high-end retouching, which doesn't mean like just Gaussian blur. It means just like very, very detailed, so you can still see pores. And like these girls can come in with like quite a bit of like acne or things, and it doesn't matter. They'll still use them because they're gorgeous, you know, and they'll just retouch in post. So, yeah. Never been hardcore catfish before, though. Can definitely say that.
I've learned, honestly. So what I do now is when I get a package of girls, I look at their digitals. So basically a photo of them, just take it with like a like a small digital camera that shows them without makeup, just like standing there with natural light. That's the best way to kind of just, you're seeing them as they are. And so look at the digitals, you guys. That's my pro tip.
Yeah, I think skin is a tough thing because it's like ever changing, and you can't really tell that from photos. So like that definitely can come into play. But that's a thing that's like obviously totally like you could just, you know, remove that if you want. It's like a up to you thing.
There's some people who are like against retouching, which is, what do you think about that? I mean, to a degree, I feel like everything is a little bit retouched or manipulated in some way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like that's a big topic that goes around. I feel like people, um, or like even just like you're not a photographer because you edit your images too much, like that kind of like opinion, which it's like, again, you can just call yourself whatever you want and you can retouch your images however you want. And there always will be like those people that, you know, won't support it, but it's your image at the end of the day, so you can really do whatever you want, as long as the model also, who's ever featured in it, is okay with whatever you're gonna do. I think as long as you agree, you're like totally fine, you know.
When you post your before and afters, you get people saying like, "Oh, I like the before way better." Or you just kind of like, okay? Because sometimes I'll get that.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Right?
Every time I post a before photo, they're like, "It was better." I'm like, okay.
Wait, like the raw photo?
Yeah. I get that
Just
every single time I post a photo. And at this point, like I think it used to like get to me. I was like, oh, that sucks. Like I spent so long like editing the after, and now I'd be like, which one do you like better? Like I just like leave it open for interpretation, because like at this point, people are gonna like, you know, say it anyway. So I'm like, do you like the before? Do you like the after? Like, let me know.
I mean, have you faced any like negative feedback? Either it's through your work or maybe something that you posted. Have you ever faced something like that? Because you've been on Instagram, and you're a really popular Instagram. You've been on for quite some time.
totally. I think the first thing I think of is like my style being like the one that gets like hit hard with opinions just because it is so like niche and like um people say like, oh, like, it's so 2016 or whatever. And like that is like when I maybe started like crafting that more like distinct style. But I still like when I look at my work, I don't see maybe someone from like a perspective that doesn't really like know photography that well, but my images now don't reflect like what they were like in 2016. Like even if I include like a neon sign or like a fairy light per se, like it's still totally different from like when I started using those different props. Um, and so like I do get comments about like my style and how it could be overplayed, but um, I think that's like comes with any type of like style. Like someone who makes children's books, like they're crafted for like children. You're not like gonna like as a 25-year-old, I'm not gonna read a children's book. Not saying like my style is for children, but like it's definitely like if you like it, you like it, and it's not for everyone. And I've come to like accept that.
And also, like, as people grow up and discover new things, like, I always kind of forget that there is a new generation who's being introduced to social media and that people are discovering you still and like finding you. And like young people who maybe are attracted or just
I'm
you.
sorry. I think my cat is stuck somewhere. Hold on one
Oh,
second.
yeah, get her.
Hold on.
Save her.
I heard that like faintly in the back.
Pixie. Oh my God. But I do have to say, Jess's wall looks fire now that she put up the wallpaper.
It does.
What a
Oh, hi,
troublemaker.
Pips.
Okay, she was like meowing, 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 meowing,
Aw.
meowing.
I was just saying, as like a younger generation comes in, like they're discovering your stuff too. And I think, you should never change your style or your work just because like someone comments something. It's 100% like, are you happy with it? And are you
Yeah,
like
yeah,
continuing to
totally.
enjoy the process, right?
Right. Yeah, I think also I'm sure maybe you guys get this too, but people are like, aren't you ever like tired of like making the same photo or something like that? But it's like, those comments that come, it's just like as long as I'm like fulfilled with what I'm doing, I'm fine with my work, and that's all that like I've come to, matter in this like photography realm.
I feel
So,
like you are changing your work, and your style definitely has changed. And it's incredible because you literally created your very own unique style. Like I can see a picture, you give me like 1,000 pictures, I can point yours out right away.
thank you.
It's
Yeah.
it's incredible, and not a lot of people can say that. It's very hard to come up with your own style. But I feel like
Yeah.
you've evolved. Like you're like a Pokemon. You just you know you've
And see, like
evolved.
that comment about like you could pick my workout like could be an amazing thing or it could be like a terrible thing where it's like, oh, like you're like you see that style, you're over it, or you like respect that like you've like crafted this like certain style that you can actually pick out of a crowd, or like you don't need to watermark your photos, like people know them. So it's how you think about it really.
What do you think about watermarks?
Um, I don't love them, but I know that they're necessary, for certain degrees.
Did you used to have them earlier?
No, I actually never made a
You
watermark.
never? Wait, Flannery, have
No.
you ever put a watermark on your work?
No,
I
I've
think.
never done that.
Oh gosh, am I like the only person who's done
I want to
that?
see your watermark.
Oh my
Please
god.
break out some old watermark photos.
And the thing is, I feel like when you're first starting, you want to protect your work, but then I just feel like I just stopped caring. I'm like, whatever. If it gets reposted, whatever, it's fine.
For me, like when I was starting out and like if people would repost my photos, I feel like I was like low key like nasty. Like instead of posting a watermark, I would just go comment and be like, you like give me credit right now. Like I was like intense. And I think that was like my watermark was like my anger.
Brandon
And now I'm
comments
just
back,
like
take this down. You're going to hear from my lawyers. You don't take this
that's how I
down.
was. I was really aggressive.
Have you ever had somebody like just repo or steal your work? There's been people who go around pretending to be you. Probably have a lot of fan accounts out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because like there's a few fan accounts, and when there was one, it's like sometimes some of them I don't know if they're fan accounts or they're like trying to be me, and so like there was one with like the same profile picture, like same name, and like it didn't say like fan account anywhere. It's literally just like my same bio, and it was like following all my friends, and like my friends were texting me and they're like, "Is this you?" And I was like, "No, like it's not me." Like I have like my two accounts like for chilling. So everyone like was following it back, and I was like, "That is not me. I don't know who that is." Yeah, I mean it's scary how any like we have so many, all of us have so many photos of like not only us, but like just, or not only our photos, but photos of us, and anyone could just take those photos and just become us, which is kind of scary, but
Or they can
you
repost your
know.
photo and it can like go viral and you don't get any credit for it. Has that ever happened to you? Has anyone taken your work, reposted it maybe on Tumblr, and then you see that it has like so many reblogs?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, I feel like I've actually lucked out in certain ways because back to like people recognizing my style, that they'll get comments that like, it's by me, and like they'll choose to credit me or not, but I've definitely like even on Tumblr where it's like I don't really go on there as much, so I don't really you can't really be like, finding your own photos, but I have seen like my photos with like there was one on Tumblr with like 75,000 notes or something, and luckily like I found it, but my name was underneath, and I was like, oh wow, like
Mm.
that's awesome, because like you never know. So
I mean, that's really great. Sometimes people
I
don't
know,
credit
I'm
you at all.
surprised. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, thanks.
That usually never happens. What do you do like if a model works with you and then reposts your photo but doesn't give you a credit?
Yeah, I think that goes to anyone, like following or not, just because even if you're starting out, like connecting and crediting is a great way to grow. And like if models aren't, crediting you, that's not okay. Because, especially if it's like a test shoot, like you're trying to grow each other. And at the end of the day, like that's what a test shoot is like, building work for not only your portfolio, but like maybe your online presence. Um, and I've definitely dealt with this with friends, like texting me, like, what do I do? Like this model didn't credit me, and it's rough because like you said, like we spend a lot of time on these photos, um and it is like a touchy thing, like you don't know whether to comment, and like kind of like it's uncomfortable, but for me, like when that it hasn't happened too often, which I'm thankful for, but when it has happened, I'll kindly like text them. One time I filmed a video for someone, I'm not gonna say, but it was a lot of work. Like I spent time like filming it for them, editing it for them, and when they posted it, I was like nowhere to be named, like anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
and so
What?
I like texted her and I was like, hey, like I was, you can't, like, you have to be polite about it at the end of the day, but I was just like, is it cool if you could credit me? And she was totally cool with it, but I was just like, I don't know if
Were
she
you paid
forgot.
for that project?
Yeah, yeah, I was paid, but it was also like this weird. It was when I was starting out, so I wasn't familiar with like rates and stuff. So it was like this
Mm-hmm.
it was like this thing where we didn't talk about money, and then like later down the line she was like, "Oh my, like, how much do you want?" So it was like this weird like disconnect,
Mm-hmm.
but um I like at I was expecting credit.
Is there any moment that kind of sticks out to you in a photo shoot where it could be like an uncomfortable moment or a moment where you're like, man, I shouldn't have done this?
Ooh,
What did
I
you
shouldn't
do?
have done this. Um let's
I
see.
feel like we've all had that.
I know, I'm trying to think now. I mean, hmm. I need to like look through like my photo shoots. I'm like need one to pop out at me. What
Have you ever
you
gotten
said
in
you had one?
trouble?
Yeah,
I can't see
definitely.
someone like you. Brandon, if you know Brandon in person, he's the chillest, most unproblematic person. I can't imagine you getting into any sort of trouble or anyone even yelling at you or anything
It's
like that.
happened. It's
Oh, what
happened.
happened? Can you give us
Um,
one?
yeah, so you're like, um, so there's this. I'm like, never thought I'd be telling this story on the internet or whatever this we're on. But me and my friend, this was actually like it was a photo shoot, but it was like a school project. But I was like shooting images and photos and videos and stuff like that, so I would consider it like a shoot. But me and some of my basically on Long Island, New York, there's this like abandoned like famous insane asylum that everyone goes to, and like just like
Oh,
they'll like explore and stuff, and like everyone has gone there. Like it's just like a broken down building. It's really frightening. If you guys want to look it up,
What's the
you
name?
can. Kings Park.
Okay, Kings Park. Okay.
I'm pulling up a picture too. um it's it's like really scary inside. I don't know why I went there, but like it was like a thing, like everyone would go there, like I don't know why, it was like a trend. Yeah, like
oh,
it
it's
looks like that inside.
horrific.
Did you go
It
to
looks
this,
like that
Brandon?
inside. Maybe. I was like a dumb teenager, okay.
So
So
wait,
what? Do you have like ghosts haunting you now? What
No,
happened?
no. So, um, I went in, and then like we like got our photos, our videos, and then when we left, there was a police car next to my car, and they were like, "Were you inside? Were you just inside that building?" And we were like, just we're silent. We were like, what do you mean? Like, what's it to you? And I was like holding my camera, and she was like, so if I look through your camera, will I see photos from inside? And I was like, and she was like, get back in your car. And like we got ticketed and stuff, but as we were like going in our car, there was kids like jumping out of the window and stuff. Like it's just like a thing. Like people go there. I don't know why. It's like a thing. I would never go back. I don't know why I went, but like that was probably the most I've gotten in trouble like shooting was, getting ticketed by like a police officer, and my friends were like crying. It was like a whole thing.
Did you cry?
No, I was just like angered because like there was like I've been like everyone has been there, and like the one time I go, I'm like the one time I do something that's like sketchy once, I get like in trouble for it, which is like
There's like 10 people hanging out from the windows. They're like watching as you get the
literally
ticket. They're like, bye, Brandon.
literally there was people on the roof, there was people jumping out windows. I was like, okay, and like I get in trouble, like all right.
Maybe she was a fan of yours. Maybe she like follows you on Instagram and she just wanted to
She
like,
was
look
not
through your
nice.
pictures.
She was not nice. And then we got stuck in the snow because it was blizzarding,
Oh
and so
no.
she was like had to wait near us to like pull like it was this whole thing. It was not it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, how long ago was this? By the way, this place looks creepy. I'm looking
Oh,
at pictures online. Was it decayed? Were there still items in the asylum, or
it's
was it
really
empty?
it's what it looks like online basically. Like there's broken
Oof.
down like you could find like the bathroom, you could find like rooms, you could find like the kitchen. Like I don't know how it should be like torn down because kids still go there. Um, but I'm also sure there's tons of like airborne like like
Mm.
mold and stuff, which is scary. But I think this was back in like 2013 or 14. It was a while ago.
Were you doing like a portrait shoot, or you just wanted to go take pictures of the inside of it?
I went
He
I
brought like
went
two
He was
models.
doing senior portraits. Okay.
Senior pictures.
I actually I went I went because in school we were doing a project for like tracking. And so we had to like film like an area and then like track things. And so like I went there and like filmed just like B-roll of like things I would like later track. And so like I still like got like the homework done. I like presented it to the class. Like they saw like the insides. They were probably like, "Where are you?" But I mean, I submitted it. I'm like, I got the work done.
You got that extra credit. You passed the
Yeah,
class. There
yeah,
you go. Brandon does. You know what? You do what it takes to complete the
yeah,
project.
exactly.
Because you went to it looks like it's haunted or something. I don't even know.
Yeah, there's like videos on it. I'm sure it is.
So you kind of have an interest in haunted places. Could I say that?
I'm not afraid of them. I'm like,
Is
I'll
that
go
what you shoot
in.
at night, Brandon? You like the spooky
You're like,
look?
it's all adding up.
Oh my
Yeah.
God! Now I'm learning. It's all coming full circle now.
I mean, I do love like any type of like, I love scary movies are my favorite type of movies.
What? I would
Yeah,
have
like
never
I
guessed.
love, I
But
love
are you
not.
into like
I
true
mean,
crime stuff, or are you
yeah,
just
like I've
into like
watched
really?
all of it. Like I've watched like every true crime thing on Netflix.
Oh,
Do you
me
listen to
too.
Crime Junkie, the
Yes,
podcast?
I love them.
How
Yes,
good are they?
they're
Yeah,
the
so good.
best. I'll just be like driving, listening to them. Me and my friends
Right?
will listen to them. Yeah,
Yeah, you roll up at Starbucks, you roll the window down, and they're like, and she cut her head off into multiple
Uh,
pieces. You're like, oh, thank you, please.
Soy
literally.
milk? Can I get soy milk, please? Oh my gosh.
I never thought I would like start to watch like those things by myself, but now I'd be watching them at like 4 a.m. by myself, and like I don't even like
Hmm.
it doesn't phase me, which is kind of scary, but
Didn't we watch something? You showed me like a case when we were in New York about some guy, or it was a woman who killed her husband and then took something of Florida. We watched it.
yes, yes, we did. I forget which one it was, but I definitely showed you. I love like also there's a lot of true crime like YouTubers that I watch.
Who's your
Um,
favorite?
Kendall Ray. I was literally in the shower watching a video like of her
Ooh.
like reporting a crime. Like I'd be just like watching all day, like listening. Like if we ever get in trouble, like now I know exactly what to do. I'm like, I will remain silent, but that doesn't mean I did it.
Yeah, you don't talk to the police. That's the number one
Yes.
thing. You don't, because
Exactly.
anything you say, whether you did it or not. You know, there's people who didn't even commit the crime, but just because they said like an incriminating statement, we didn't even
Mm-hmm.
realize it. They said like, "Oh no, I wasn't there," and then they
Yeah.
find like a hair comb or I don't know, a piece of hair, and then they end up going to prison for like 20,000 years. And so that's why you never talk to the police.
Yeah.
Jessica's pro tip: don't talk to
I
the
just
police.
I just recently finished watching Innocence Files on Netflix, and that's like every two episodes are about a different case where like someone was in jail but like wrongfully, so they spent like zero or like not zero, like 10 to like 40 years in jail for like something they didn't do, and it like explains like everything and like who actually did it, and then like I watched like all of it in like 2 days. I was obsessed with it.
That's why we try not to get in trouble with the law when we're doing photography, because we're not trying to go to prison. We've seen what happens, right? Right?
Yeah, yeah. We're trying to be as unproblematic as we can, but sometimes, you do be on private property. So,
I try not to do that. What do you think? What are your thoughts on trespassing? Because there's some photographers who have no problem going into like a coffee shop or going into like a
mm.
private property area and taking pictures. Would you do something like that?
I think for me, that experience that I was talking about, like with getting in trouble at that, in that building, I think that forever like kind of scarred me for like future events. But almost like looking back at it is like, not, no, I'm not glad it happened, but I almost feel like I'm way more cautious now because that happened, and I know that like, when you do trespass and things like that, you can actually get in trouble. It's not just like you're invincible to the law because you have a camera. Like things like that are still they still apply to you. And so I think I'm way more cautious now, and like I'm definitely not comfortable with like going in somewhere that I don't think is legal. Like I just don't do it. And if I think it'll take a hot minute, like going inside a coffee shop to get the shot, I will, or just not trying to cause a ruckus and just actually buying something from the place you want to take a quick photo in, or even asking permission, like all things like that. I think should definitely come into play when you're out and about taking photos.
For sure. It helps too that you don't have like crazy equipment that you're bringing. It's just like a simple camera.
You
And
bring a softbox with you.
you bring like
Oh
You
yeah,
start
yeah.
setting up.
strobe in there. You're like, excuse me, can you just
Excuse
move
me,
to
can
the
you
other
move this table?
Oh my God. I think for us, like just because we do normally shoot natural light, we just have a camera, like it's not problematic because, we could just be like having a little like I mean, I do normally shoot with my friends anyway, so it just looks like two friends hanging out, and then, you know, my photo like appears in a book. But like
Low key. So, biggest question, does Nikon have a silent shooting mode like Sony where you can literally shoot and there be no sound happening?
Yeah, and I've used it definitely a few times here and there. It's come in handy when like shooting in like bookstores, low key, or like a library that I've shot in. But it's hard because the model doesn't know you're like shooting. So because they can't hear it, neither can you. You just know you're pressing the button. So like,
Right.
it's definitely a communication thing. But I'm very thankful for that when it needs to come into play.
So what do you do when you go into the bookstores and the libraries to take pictures? Because you have done a few shoots like that. Do you ask the owner for permission? Do you just kind of just go in there and like hope for the best?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't like endorse doing that. I just like even the thought of like taking photos in a library just sounds like not okay with me, but like yet I've done it.
I've done it too.
Um,
I've done it too for a
yeah,
wedding. Like my clients are like, we want to shoot in this. I'm like,
Really?
let's, yeah. And it was like super quiet. So I totally understand where you're coming from, Brandon. But like, yeah, do you just walk in there? Do people tell you anything?
yeah. I mean I think I've only shot in like a lib or like a book. It wasn't a library. It was like a bookstore. And it was Powell's in Portland, so it's like a huge
Portland, that's
bookstore.
where I'm
Yeah,
from. Powell's is the
yeah.
best. Yes.
Yeah, so as you know, that bookstore is like huge.
Hmm.
And so I felt a little more comfortable like finding an aisle where no one was in or no one could see us, and we were just like being really low key, and like I was using silent shutter, making sure not to like bother anyone. And when I shoot, it's like I literally will shoot. I can get a photo in like 15 seconds, so like it's not like I'm setting up like this whole thing. It's literally just like I'm taking a photo in a minute and we're like out of there. So
Definitely like a respect thing for the
absolutely, yeah.
space and, whoever owns there. If it's like a public library, that is technically public space, but just being aware of like who's in there with you. But also, it's like the more cameras that are around, the more social media that's out there, it's all free promotion also for that business too. Like, not at the end of the day that you're like tagging Powell's in that photo, but at the same time, it's
I
like
actually, yeah, I
social
did
is a
location
real
tag.
thing. Yeah, like that's like promo for them. So, you know, it kind of goes both ways. Like getting tagged in like a Brandon Woelfel image is like, you know, that's pretty cool for Powell's to get that much exposure. So I
Yeah, I wonder if
think,
they
you know,
saw it.
maybe you should hit them up, slide into their DMs.
They'd be like, "You shot in here? It's not allowed."
When did
I
that
know.
happen?
Lawsuit.
Silent Shutter.
Lawsuit? Oh
Great.
yeah, you get like a letter, a cease and desist. But you know what? Honestly, a lot of the times, if you just ask, you'll be surprised. Remember that one? Remember in New York, Brandon? We wanted to shoot in a coffee shop, and we just ended up asking management, and they were really
Yeah.
nice about it. They're like, "Yeah, totally, you can shoot." I was surprised. Remember?
Yeah, yeah. And thinking back to that now, like another bookstore I shot in. Now that like you're reminding me, um, I did, and like you always feel so like hesitant to ask and like a little nervous. Um, and if they, if they're not fine with it, then like you just can't get the shot. But if they are, then like you still be respectful, but you can work around people and actually take a photo and feel like comfortable doing it because you don't have to like sneak around corners, which is nice.
When you do that, if you approach someone like a bookstore owner, do you also show them your Instagram to kind of show that you're legit and this is what you do? Or do you play it more like low key and just try and be like, oh, let me just get one shot? Is that cool?
Sorry, that reminded me of like the TikTok photographer that like shows his TikTok. But we'll move on.
Wait, who?
You guys
The
talked about
wedding
him
photographer.
Oh,
He's like
we've already talked about that.
yeah, he'll show people like his TikTok. I actually did that like once when I was like starting out where I wanted to take photos in the sunflower field that was like connected to like a farmer's market. And so like I went in the farmer's market and I asked them and they were cool with it. And then I like showed them my Instagram. They were like, okay, like they literally didn't, they were like, end. Like they didn't care. And I was kind of like
You're like,
humiliated. I was
oh.
like, okay. Like they were like, okay, go. Like I don't care. So I mean, I just politely ask. I don't whip out my like. I'm like, look at my followers. I mean,
Look how
I don't
many.
think that matters.
The TikToker who, but did he show his TikTok or did he show his Instagram? I think it was his TikTok.
It's TikTok.
He shows his TikTok, yeah.
So you saw that. You saw the TikTok of him, like he crashed somebody's wedding shoot. I
Yeah.
find it interesting to hear from professional photographers about this because we've done shoots where it's like there's a client or a brand. Like if somebody approached you and was like, "Hey, can I take a picture of your model? Like I have this many followers." Like what would you have done?
I would politely decline. I don't think when you see a shoot going on in real life, you don't think about all the work that took to set that up. You all figured out outfits, you figured out location, concept, like especially with wedding photography, and not sure if they were shooting an engagement, but
It was a
not even
wedding.
specific. Okay, yeah, not even specifically to that like scenario, but in general, like if you see someone out shooting and you want to grab a shot, like I would just not do it. It's not respectful at the end of the day.
Yeah, me and Flan kind of talked about this, and I do weddings, and I did weddings full time for quite a while, and you have such a limited time to get couple session pictures. Like
That
sometimes
too.
I'll
Yeah.
literally have like 15 minutes because they have cocktail hour or the ceremony ran late, so it's like you're already on a deadline, and then you have somebody who is asking to like kind of interject into the photo shoot that you are being paid for to shoot. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like awkward too.
Yeah, there's like
Yeah.
a bunch of weird power dynamics and like there's like a huge difference between going up to like a stranger on the street and asking for a photo and then interjecting into someone's
True.
professional shoot, or even like if it looks like there's kind of like an amateur shoot or something that isn't very high production value but it looks like a legitimate photographer, like there's really no reason for you to be like taking over that for your own purposes. And like for him to like show and brag about his followers and like do that in front of the other photographer, it like created this weird kind of like atmosphere, this like weird social
Absolutely.
dynamic.
I know for me, like I'm sure you guys too, when you're on a shoot, we don't shoot every single day. Like people may see our images every single day, but like we're not out there shooting every single day. There's tons of other stuff that come into play and stuff. And when I'm on a shoot, like I'm not like panicking, but like I'm keeping aware that like I'm just panicking. But like, you're chasing light. There's so many things that
Mm-hmm.
come through that you have to keep in mind, and it's like I'm just trying to get the most out of my shoot as I can when I'm on it because you've taken time to set it up. You've traveled there. Same with the model. Like she took time out of her day to come shoot with you, and um, it's just like shooting is, it's not just like a fun. It is a fun thing, but like we're doing it for work.
Yeah, it's our job at the end of the day. It's a professional
Yeah,
job.
you wouldn't go into like the mail like office and be like, hey, can I mail these? Like free.
You go behind the counter like, actually, I work here now.
But like it relates, like it's the same type of thing. We're photographers. That's what we do for work. You wouldn't just like hop into someone else's job.
So when you're planning for a shoot, do you have all the locations set in your mind already that you're going to hit these 2 or 3 spots, or do you kind of have a general area and you just walk around?
Yeah, I think when I'm shooting in New York, which is more often than not, I know New York pretty well, and so I'll like pick a location where I know that like we can walk around and get a bunch of like different various like locations. And I also I like do like to scout beforehand and just see because the light whenever we shoot may be like different or hitting a spot in a different way that like I've shot in the same location many times, but like obviously with the lighting and the weather, like the photos will just look different. But for me, I love like picking a spot and then walking just like around there. I know that you guys do that too, right?
I literally just go out and hope for the
Yeah,
best. I say a prayer and I'm like, please don't let me
exactly.
get arrested. I don't want to go to prison because I've listened to the Crime Junkie podcast and I don't want that to be me.
You're like I know how it goes.
I know how this works. Have you ever been rejected? Like a model was like, no, I don't want to work with you.
I think with that it's just been like a DM that says seen, but I've never like I don't think they would like be like no, like just don't answer me. You know. What about you?
I've I've been rejected. I mean, you've seen the strangers in Japan and
Oh,
Lebanon. Yeah,
yeah.
I've been rejected. Face to face, like yeah, and on camera.
Face to face.
On camera.
That's even worse.
To make things worse in front of everybody, in front of millions of people. I've been rejected. But no, a lot of people reach out. Like, what would your advice be to those people who are afraid of being rejected and they don't reach out to anybody?
I think rejection comes with like anything, especially in like a creative field. Like you're gonna get rejected whether people like your art or not. So it's something that just comes with it, and like obviously no one's comfortable with being rejected. You can't just be like, just go for it. Like it's gonna happen. um,
Love it.
but it will happen at the end of the day. So it's something that you do have to accept, but it's a necessary part of like growing and like expanding your portfolio and your business.
Was there ever a shoot where you got back and you're like, oh my God, I don't like any of these. Like, I think they're terrible. Like, what do you do? Do you still just like edit and like deliver a couple to the model and then just never post? Or how does this, like, what do you do if you just don't like what you shot? Because you shoot so much. So, like, you can't have a hit every single time.
That's definitely happened. And if it hasn't happened, you're lying. Just kidding. But for me, more than not, it's like the focus. I've had like focusing issues where I come back and like, obviously when you're shooting, like your screen is so tiny. And so when you get back and look at them on your bigger computer, you're like, these aren't in focus. Like, what are we gonna do? And you can't, that's something you can't just like, even with me, like if I do see a bad photo, I see potential in it. But if a photo is out of focus, there's nothing you can do. Like
Clarity.
you can't, clarity.
Clarity slider 100.
I mean, I've done it. Like, I mean, obviously, if a focus, like, if a photo is like a little out of focus, like, you can throw that clarity up. But like, you know, I think I've just salvaged a few and delivered them. But it sucks when it does happen because it will happen.
Remember that Alaska trip, Brandon? That was fun.
That was fun. I miss Alaska.
I know. We have to go back. Except for all like the moose and all the dangerous animals and stuff.
What? Really?
And because I missed the Northern Lights, so that needs to happen.
Oh my God. Wait. Brandon.
Should we talk about that?
I totally forgot about the story. Yes. Dude, that was a night
so
I will never
pissed.
forget.
Wait, tell
Okay,
us.
so yeah, so we went to Alaska on a trip for Pro Photo. We love them. And we got there and like we all went into our hotels and stuff. And the next day we're all like talking amongst each other, and someone was like, "Oh my God, did you guys see the Northern Lights last night? Like out in like your window?" And I was like, "You're kidding!" Like that, like seeing the Northern Lights has been one thing that like I've just like really wanted to see in photograph like forever, and like I've been like obviously when we were in Alaska, so we were like maybe we'll see them, and she was like, "Yeah, like it happened. It was like shining through my window. It was like these crazy saturated colors, like, and like." It was at like 3, 4 a.m., which I'm normally up, so I'm like, come on, like the one time I go to sleep early. Um, but she like showed us all the photos, and it was like this beautiful like aura. It was crazy. And so the next day we were like on this mission to like go watch them. So we like literally hiked to the middle of this field. It was like freezing. It was
Terrible.
like 20 degrees or 10 degrees. I don't know how it was freezing. We hiked to the middle of this field, and it was like the middle of the night. We had to get up for like a shoot like at like 7 a.m. and we were just standing there in like mud,
It was
and like
soggy too.
it was foggy, you said?
It was soggy. Remember, the floor was like, oh, it's
Oh.
like a marsh
Oh yeah,
almost.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And we were waiting there, and we see like a glimmer of like green, but it never came. And we were like just standing out there like all night and never got a photo of it. Like, so I need to go back. We
It was
both need
it
to
was
go
the
back.
funniest thing because, yeah, it was the middle of the night. Like Brandon said, we were in a group of like us three or four, and we were walking to
Yeah.
find the other group because they were already in the middle of this like open field. And
Hmm.
so we're walking in the middle of God knows where. It's pitch black outside. We're following this trail, and then we start walking into like a marsh. And I wore the worst shoes. I wore tennis shoes. They were destroyed, by the way. Like it was my socks got wet. Like it was the worst thing ever. And then remember, Brandon, there was some guy playing like the harmonica or something,
Yes, yes.
and we were like, "Why is he playing the harmonica at like
Wait,
3
like
in
a
the morning?"
random guy in the forest.
He was
Or was
doing
he
it
part of the
because
group?
he was like a part of the group. So apparently, like to
Okay.
scare off the bears or like to let the bears know or the animals that we are here.
Yeah, it was also we were low-key kind of scared of just like
Dying?
animals because someone just saw like a moose like hours before.
Yeah, yeah,
Can we
Jana.
also just talk about how large moose
Yes.
are or
Oh
meese? I
my
don't
god.
even know the plural.
Yes.
Like, like massive. I didn't realize how big they were. They're
They're
huge.
dinosaurs.
Yeah.
What Brandon said, we did not see any northern lights. It was we just were so defeated. Like we looked at each other and we're like, we're going inside. So
We're
we
going to
ended up
bed.
we're going back to sleep. We were so tired and we're just standing in the freezing cold. So we just ended up we're never seeing the lights, but it's okay. We maybe we'll see them again.
I was gonna be more mad if they showed up after we left. Like that would I would have went home at that point.
There was some people waiting still. There was like a
Yeah.
group of people like very determined, but it never happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jana was a part of the trip too, and she comes running into the reception, and she's like, "Oh my God, you guys won't believe what I saw." I'm like, "What?" So she shows us pictures of a moose with a baby and a baby moose, and then we didn't think much of it, and then apparently like you're not supposed to ever get that close to a moose, like it's very dangerous. So the fact that she even got that picture, I guess reception found
She
out,
was
and
so close.
you saw the pictures, right, Brandon?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's insane. And plus, Moose with her baby.
Isn't that dangerous? I
Yes.
feel like I just have like the mama baby like fear thing where it's like if you see a baby cub, you're like, where's the mama at?
I think moose are like one of those animals. I also just looked up the plural of moose, and I think the plural of moose is moose.
Oh
Moose?
God.
It's Meese.
I mean, then why
Um,
is goose geese? Like, yo, what is wrong with the English language? I swear.
um, but what were we saying?
Yeah, the
Oh, yeah.
moose.
Yeah, I feel like moose look like one of the like the type of animal to like not be dangerous. So you're like, "Oh, like they're fine." And then they're not
They're
though.
not.
They like breathe in your face and you just get
Yeah.
like poisoning or something. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Would you ever do animal photography? Because we shot a couple of dogs on that trip. It was pretty
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, I would totally get into that. That's like another I just love how there's so many like different realms of photography. There's like concert photography, like animal photography, and like at any given point you could just like do that, you know?
Is there any
Like
that you
if
absolutely would not do?
baby photography.
Ooh, interesting.
I don't think I
That's
could
tough.
ever like just knowing that like the person you're shooting, I mean, same with animals though, like they're not the best to like model. Like you can't like with like animals, like when I've shot like cats before, you can like just play with them and quickly shoot and you'll get the shot, but like you can't do that to like a baby. Like,
They start crying.
yeah.
No.
They poop
Um,
mid-shoot. I mean, it's tough, you guys. You know, it'd be a funny idea if you were to try newborn photography. I would watch that.
That's a good video idea, like
I
trying to
would.
take photos of a baby.
Why not? I mean, it's a different genre that you'd never think to do. Like, what would your approach be, Brandon? You walk in and you see the newborn baby.
I'm like, hi, how you doing? I'm like, nice to meet you. Look at my portfolio.
Look at my portfolio. I don't know. I want to relate more to TikTok, so this is my way of doing it. Because I'm not on there.
You are on there, but you only have like 3 videos, right?
God, they're just terrible videos.
I've been trying to post every day on TikTok, actually.
Wow.
Have you? Have you been?
Yeah.
Has it
It
grown
just takes
really
a while.
quickly?
It grows like pretty consistently. I feel like when I started TikTok, like last summer, it was growing faster because there wasn't as many people on it. So now it's like slowed down. And like obviously there's like now like TikTok influencers, so it's like they kind of take up the platform. But I still like there's obviously like Instagram, there's different like realms of it. So there's like photography niche, there's like dancing niche. So it's like you just pick your own and like go for it. So
So you're in the dancing niche, right?
exactly. I actually have posted like
Yes.
2 dances. So
Ooh,
Stop.
I'm checking
Oh my
this
God.
out. I want to see
Yes.
this.
I'm gonna watch those later.
Like, what? I mean, how much are
Go
we
for
talking?
it.
Like, are you getting down to the ground, like dropping low?
I go a little hard.
Yes.
Do you feel like TikTok is better than YouTube in terms of like the engagement and the views and everything like that?
I mean, maybe technically, because you can like skyrocket out of nowhere, but at the same time, I don't think it's the best platform to like, you know, you can link your other platforms, but at the same time, it's so like fleeting, you know?
Yeah.
Like people only see your 15-second, 1-minute video on there, and then you're like kind of like forgotten about. It's just like next video, like everyone's attention span is so fast on that app, especially. Um, but so I think YouTube is obviously probably a better platform to like get a more stable kind of audience, but TikTok may be good for like a faster growing, if that makes sense.
How has your like YouTube stuff been going? And like how have you like navigated that? And are you working more on that during like quarantine?
Yeah, I think as of recently, I've been working on my YouTube like more than ever. It may not like seem like that because I don't upload like every day, but um, I I like I'm always constantly trying to like work on like a video or two, which is like not normal because I'm usually like so focused on video, like I mean photo shoots. But recently, I obviously haven't gone on shoots, so it's like I'm naturally just focusing more on YouTube. And it's nice. I love YouTube. It's just like I know you guys feel like this, but when you post a YouTube video, you don't know like if how good it will do, so it's a little scary that way.
Trust me, I know exactly what you mean. It's tough because with YouTube, especially, you got to think of a good title. You have to think of a good thumbnail to go with the video. And then if those two are not in sync with each other, then even though the video is amazing, it could flop.
Right. So like I treat YouTube as more of like longer term projects that I'm working on, where it's like I can edit a photo in like an hour and throw it up, but like with YouTube, it's not that easy, you know?
I'm sure you are too learning what works and what doesn't work in terms of the video ideas. Like, do you find that a certain video does better than other videos on there?
Yeah, I think with me it's because I don't have like so many uploads. I can't really understand that yet. Like I feel like because you upload so frequently, you are able to really see. So for me, like I can't tell that yet, but obviously like anything photography related, like that's the way to go. Like if I do something that's not photography, then like people probably don't care.
But that's what I want to see. That's what the people
Yeah,
want.
I know.
We need the newborn photography. We need the dancing. There's some YouTubers who literally just don't care. They post whatever, and I actually admire that sometimes. I'm like, I wish I could just post whatever I want and just not care. But sometimes there's like a picture or a video that you're just not sure about. Brandon, have you ever had anything where you're just like, I don't know if I should be posting this?
Well, yeah, recently I posted like how to like manipulate color, like my favorite ways to manipulate colors on Photoshop, and it was funny because I thought like that video would kind of like be well received, and it was, and like people enjoyed it, and I feel like learn something, but also there was like a big chunk of people that were like, we all know this already, like we know how to do this, like, and I was just like the like I my most like constant comment is to make tutorials, and like the one time I try out a tutorial, I get comments like, you're not showing enough, you're not showing this, like, and I'm like, these are just my favorite ways to manipulate color. Like, I didn't say anything about like, you know, how to like, create this whole like crazy photo. Like, I'm just showing you like the ways, because I do use like those ways I went over. And I don't know, I just like posted it with like the perception that it would like do so good and like people would love it, and like there was like more dislikes than like like a day in my life video.
What? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So I'm like, okay, so now do I not post tutorials? Like, I don't know.
So then
So,
you become discouraged because you're like, okay, well, I'm posting what they asked for, and they're not seeming to
y-
like it that much.
yeah, it's the same thing. Like, I have a class on Skillshare, and that has definitely been like, the response has been amazing from that, because I do go over like how I edit a photo. But obviously there's still going to be comments. So people are like, they're like saying like, he didn't actually show what he does, and I'm like I
Yeah.
this is what I do. Like, I don't know what to like. It's just scary, like how you could show what you actually do and people don't believe it. It's weird.
So how do you like deal with that? Or like, do you ever let those comments get to you? Has there ever been a moment where you're like, oh my God, like this is affecting, like you don't do certain things because of the comments?
Yeah, I think it's hard when especially videos, like we were saying, we work so hard on it. It's not like just a photo we can manipulate in a few hours. It's more of like a longer term thing. 'Cause like with my videos, I really like to spend a lot of time like crafting it and like going through. And so when you actually do get the video finally up and you're getting comments that are like discouraging, it's definitely not the best. I think for me, it's like I definitely haven't had like a video that's been like super disliked, but like obviously when those videos reach like a different audience, like you never know what the comments might be. And I think for me, it's like I get discouraged when it's like as I post the video, because I have like a connection to it, but then a few days go by and I'm like over it. So, but there's definitely that kind of like initial like, damn, like I thought this would do well, or I like the video, or I would want to watch this video, but others wouldn't.
I mean, and someone like you with so many followers, and your work is known, especially in the photography community. People might think like, oh, he never has any hardships, he never struggles with anything, like, but I mean, you do though.
Yeah, I think that's another perception. People like may see my work, or how consistently I post, even your videos, like how consistent you are, and just think that like you're constantly inspired, when that's definitely not the case.
So what do you do when you're not inspired?
For me, I mean, like I just like, well, just don't create. I mean, I've definitely forced it sometimes, and like the best work does not come from forcing it. But I think for me, anytime like I'm feeling uninspired, I've just gone a different realm of things. I'll maybe draw or paint, or play a game, or like FaceTime someone. Like, just do something that's not photography, get your mind off it, and something will come. And I don't know, for me, like concepting out shoots is the way that I feel like my shoots will actually come out the most successful, is like really putting in the time to craft like the details of it. And so maybe try like coming up with a shoot instead of actually shooting, take the time to plan it out.
Like picking out a nice outfit, like if you see a nice outfit online, or if you see like a nice prop that you might like, is that kind of how you kind of like get one thing and you kind of base the shoot off of it?
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, Pinterest is a great way to like, or even just any platform, if you see like one thing that inspires you, even like an audio on TikTok can inspire me to like create something like that I wouldn't normally do. Just random, you can't really, you can search for inspiration, but like the way it comes is like so naturally. So it's hard to force. People think there may be like a life hack to getting inspired, but like it's really just like, just take a step back.
Yeah, I find that sometimes with creatives, you're setting up this structure, right? So like Brandon, like you're a photographer and that's the work that you do, and you're like committing to like getting on this train, and that's like the structure that you have in your life. And you do that relentlessly, and like you guys were saying, sometimes the inspiration comes and goes and you have to deal with that. But it's also deciding too, it's like when do you kind of step off of that and step back on. And a lot of
Right.
people look to you guys and look to creators as a demand. People expect a certain amount of content, a certain amount of posts, a certain amount of videos, because we've been trained for so long. Like, you know, it's like you guys are your own channels and your own like version of MTV. It's where it's constant, relentless, all the time, unwavering, and it's such a high expectation, and that's why we see so many people getting burnt out after so many years. Like, just how many years have you been on YouTube now?
7 years.
7 years. That's a long time. Like, if you gave birth to a kid, you would have a 7-year-old right now.
Whoa.
She would be in what grade?
Brandon will do the newborn photography.
Yeah.
Brandon will come in with his lights and he'll come and like decorate the room, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
I feel like if you were to newborn photography, you would definitely like, we're gonna see a lot of lights, neon signs.
Oh, totally.
Absolutely.
You should totally do it. Like, I support this one. I'll get you the baby. Or you know what? They have like
Do
dolls.
you?
I mean, no, not
You
like.
act like you have the plug. You're like,
I know.
don't. You like whip out the jacket. You're like, which one you want?
But I do fully support the baby shoot idea. But you have to like
Yeah.
talk to the baby as if they're like a normal model, you know? Be like, oh,
Right.
could you just move your hand? Thank you. Like, let's do the hair flip. Let's do like the signature moves. Let's do like the bokeh.
The hair flip. They have like one piece of hair.
Okay, would you be down? I'm gonna set up a newborn shoot. That would be the challenge, the newborn photography challenge. Are we
Down.
gonna do it?
This podcast should just be called Newborn Photography ...
I would probably lose that challenge. I'll probably get like peed on. I'm gonna get pooped on, but I'm willing to risk that for the shot. That's what you do as a photographer.
Brave.
We talked about a lot today. We talked about the Northern Lights, how we didn't see them, newborn photography, insane asylums that Brandon went, and he also got a ticket. Was that your only ticket, by the way? You never got anything, not even
yeah.
a parking ticket?
I've gotten a parking ticket, yeah.
Oh, ooh, risky, huh? He lives on the edge. Ooh, got a record. Brandon has a record.
I don't. Like, don't put that out there.
No, I'm just joking. Guys, it's just a parking ticket. It's fine. So we would love to thank Brandon for joining us today. It was a very fun chat. We learned a lot about you.
I don't even know where it started or where it ended, but here we are, you know.
Animal Crossing.
There's a lot in between.
We talked about so many things, and no, it's always so much fun to have you here chatting with us. We love it.
Oh my god, yeah, it's so fun chatting with you guys. I didn't realize this was like literally like 2 hours long. We love it.
All right, Brandon, thank you so much for coming on. And just let us know again where people can find you online and anything else you want to shout out.
You guys can find me at Brandon Woelfel everywhere. TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, all the things. And yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.
Thank you.
Of
And thank you
course.
guys for tuning in. And you can find us at Light Muse Podcast on Instagram and YouTube, or check out our website at lightmusepodcast.com. And until then, we will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.